Hey everyone, welcome to Roo and Hammer. Thank you so much for joining us. Season 3, episode 4. Thanks for special episode 5. Thank you for our Patreon subscribers as well. Your support makes it possible to bring us this awesome visual presentation through Restream and bring you guys the content and the guests that you all enjoy so much. Hello, Hammer. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. This is a bit of a first for us. We're hosting the broadcast in the same place next to each other. We haven't done this before. I think we've done 80-something episodes of Roo and Hammer. We've never broadcast in the one spot. The reason for that is pretty big. So I was contacted last week by the Warriors, our good mate Glenn Harris at the Warriors. And I was nominated as what they call a super fan for the NRL 2022 season launch. So basically it was all 16 NRL captains, a whole host of fans, and one super fan per club. And thank you to Daisy and Lisa and Glenn, who nominated me to be the super fan to go along to the NRL season launch. So with that I got a +1 ticket. No one I'd rather share that opportunity with than this guy here. So flew down from Queensland and here we are doing the show together. So
exciting. First, forgive the little idiosyncrasies that might be in there. Yeah, we're not used to being like right next to each other.
No, we're not.
No, it's going to be a great night. We got a huge show. We're going to be previewing the Warriors season. There's so much to discuss and dissect, and we're going to do it with guests.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, why don't you bring them in? The two guys that we've got coming on, they're no stranger to our broadcast. We call them our brothers from another mother. Both of them host a show in New Zealand called The Standoff on New Zealand Sport Radio. Brad and Richie, g'day boys. Thanks for joining us.
How are you? Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I feel like I'm kind of like the third host, aren't I? Feel like I'm on every couple of weeks.
Well, I think you actually now top our list of guest people on the show now, Brad. I think
the most prolific, co-host.
You've actually jumped Cam George. I mean, jumped over the top of him. I don't mean jumping. Mate, we're going to get into a bit of a season preview. We've got a fair bit to get through tonight. Firstly, just a couple of things off the bat that aren't on the agenda run sheet that you may want to comment or not comment on. Firstly, we'll start with a bit of bad news. Manu Vadavai, sentenced to 3 years in prison for his involvement in that meth distribution ring in New Zealand. Anyone wishing to comment on that? Brad, Rich, Rob? Brad? No.
Through to the keeper.
Yeah. Very sad.
In all honesty, it's sad, yeah. But hopefully it's a lesson he can learn and come out better on the other side. But not the greatest news to hear players get themselves into strife.
No, kind of destroys a little bit the legacy that he had at the club. He is the only guy in the NRL to score 10 tries, 10 consecutive seasons. Yeah, a record that's going to be hard to break. He's in those record books, and so we'll move on from that one, mate. Dylan Walker signed to a 3-year deal from 2023 onwards. This was new today. I know Brad thinks that we've got a bit
inside
of scoop, but we were just as blindsided as everybody else.
The first I heard about it was actually when I was boarding the flight this morning. So I had absolutely no idea that we were even in talks with it.
Yeah. What about you guys? What do you think of his signing?
I'm pleased with it. I completely blindsided. Obviously, I was sitting down having lunch, and then I saw notifications start popping up on my Facebook. Generally, that happens when we have a signing or some news has come out. So, I think he went really well for Manly last year when he came back and came into that number 14 role, and I thought he added a lot of weight behind their behind Manly's coming home with a wet sail last year. So I'm pretty pleased with it. I think he'll add a lot of value to our roster.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Completely blindsided. I write for Nothing But League, so I do their Warriors reviews and stuff. And they got writers that are linked with clubs, so a lot of them have contacts. A bit like you guys with the Warriors, you talk to the Warriors and stuff. But even like the Manly writer, he was like, I didn't even know that he was even thinking of leaving. So it was a huge blindside on that. But yeah, I think a great addition. I did a post and I said centre is a weak spot for the Warriors, and I think you could slot him straight into centre to help. But also he could be a 14. He can play anywhere. So that versatility is going to be really good, especially when you see players go down with injury. To have a guy that can just slot in and have that experience, it's not bad.
Yeah, I agree with you boys. I think last year at Manly, he was very, very good, particularly when he came back from injury and did fill that 14 role. I went to the All-Stars game this year. I thought he was one of the field for the Māori All-Stars in that All-Stars game. And as you said, Brad, he does bring a level of experience. People seem to think he's a lot older than what he is. He's only 27 years old. Signed for 3 seasons. We have a host of inexperience in the centres, and he's going to be the one guy that can come into the side and play a role and maybe educate some of these younger boys as they come through the system. So yeah, for me, I think it's a good signing. Yeah,
his game's evolved. I mean, he came into first grade in a blaze of glory. 2013, 2014 at South Sydney, he was probably one of the best centres in the game. Then he was just an attacking weapon. And over time, like his game has evolved, and he's more probably personally, I would put him straight in the centres. As we said, it's an area of weakness in the team. But the versatility just adds a whole new dimension as well.
Absolutely. And the last one before we move on to the show proper, the right decision by the NRL to amend Reece Walsh or have the All-Stars game count as a fixture, which means that Reece Walsh now available for round 2. Only going to miss the one game, which is great news for us, I think.
Yeah,
I'll go first on this one. We talked about it on our show as well and said I was completely happy if they had said no to Latrell, but the moment they said yes to Latrell, they had to. They painted themselves in a corner. And so, but if they had said no, it doesn't count for anybody, I would have been fine as well. But it's great to have him back a week early.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into it. A decision was made late last season that the Warriors team would remain in Australia and base themselves out of Redcliffe for the 2022 season. A lot of that decision was basically made, primarily because of the COVID situation in New Zealand, particularly in the Auckland region. Players couldn't get home, and they wanted to make sure that the families had enough time to make, decisions on schooling and partners' work and so forth. Brad, can you tell us a little bit, being an Aucklander, what it's like, what's the situation currently is in New Zealand, and more importantly in Auckland in regards to COVID and the protocols and so forth over there in New Zealand now?
Oh, it's fantastic at the moment. Every day there's a new big number that I get to look at. It's hard to say. If you're vaccinated and all that, I feel like not too much has changed, but I don't really go out much. So I don't really notice too much of a change for myself, but it is a bit harder to do things. You can still go to restaurants and stuff, but you can't have big crowds, which is what matters. Technically, if you wanted, the Warriors could come back and play here now. They just wouldn't be able to play in front of a crowd, which defeats the purpose.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And that decision to stay in Australia also came with a decision for the players to find their own accommodations and living arrangements. Cam George said that to us when we had him on at the end of last year. Effectively, they've been 2 seasons living in holiday accommodations together. This has to be a positive development in creating some sort of sense of normality for the squad, don't you think, mate?
Yeah, mate. It definitely gives us some much needed stability.
Yeah.
So like it's been known, from early in the piece that the team is going to be based here. So I mean, there's no excuses for not having everyone in the same spot this time for preseason. Everyone knows where they stand. Some of the guys have bought houses in Redcliffe. Everyone, if they're not in Redcliffe, they're in the surrounding suburbs. Everybody's close by, so there should be very minimal disruptions, to the preseason schedule, COVID aside, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great for the squad.
And last season, we saw the team go through that split preseason, Rich. We had half in Auckland, half in Kiama in Australia here. Before the squad came together in Tamworth for a month, and then they moved their base to Terrigal. They had a lot of travel and disruptions in that 3-month period. And then they had to establish themselves up on southeast Queensland when COVID hit. Establishing a base early on and being able to remain here for the duration, do you think has created a more stable preseason build-up for them?
Yeah, I think so. Aside, of course, from our last trial game having to be cancelled, from the outside look in, and it looked like we seem to be humming along quite nicely, and the boys are looking fit and keen, which showed in their trial match against the Storm. So basically, it's another start to the year based together in Aussie. The boys will be well and truly used to each other's company by now, and I think team chemistry-wise, it's good. So hopefully it bodes well for the season ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's take a look at that 30-man roster for the 2022 season. So our gains are Sean Johnson, Aaron Penney, Ash Taylor, and Jesse Arthurs. We've only lost Jermaine Tanile Brown, Peter Hiku, and Chad Townsend, who coincidentally are the gains for the Cowboys. So our 30-man squad, I've broken it into backs, halves, hookers, and then forwards. So our backs, we've got Adam Pompey, Dallin Wateni-Zalesniak, Ed Cozy, Jesse Arthurs, Junior Ratuva, Marcelo Montoya, Reece Walsh, Rocco Berry, and Vili Valea. So only 8 outside backs, which to me is a little light on in considering they've taken Ewan Aitken out of that and thrown him in the forwards.
Yeah.
Halves, we got CHT, Ash Taylor, Cody, Sean Johnson. Hookers, Taniela Otokolo, Wade Egan. And then our forwards, we've got Penney, Fanua Blake, Bailey Serenan, Ben Murdoch-Basila, Bundyasa Katoa, Ewan Aitken, Jack Murchie, Jackson Frey, Jazz Tavanga, Josh Curran, Matt Lodge, Pride Pedersen, Rabadi, Tohu Harris, Tom Arley. Rich, what are your thoughts on the depth of our squad going into the 2022 season?
Well, I think we kind of touched on it a little bit already, but we look quite young and inexperienced out wide in the centres, albeit we have some good prospects out there. Our depth in the halves looks considerably better this year with Sean Johnson and Ash Taylor coming in. Hopefully we'll find a combination in the halves there that gels early, that we can settle on, and they get the team running nicely.
What do you think, mate?
Yeah, the 8 outside backs is the one that kind of concerns me a little bit. I suppose you do have like the luxury of having Ewan Aitken, who is now considered a back row, but he can play in the centres. And I think like CHT can fit in most positions in the back line, be it a fullback or centre, that kind of thing. And then if we get injury to one of the hookers, I mean, you've got Jazz, who can be a reluctant stopgap, but I'd have to find another option there as well.
Yeah. How about you, Brad?
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit different. I don't care about the backs. You only need a couple out there. You can have anyone. It's all about the forwards. But I think overall, this is probably one of the better stacked rosters the Warriors have had in some time. They've got forward. There's a lot of those forwards aren't going to make the cut, and I would put them in many other teams. There's some real good ones there. You got 4 experienced halves. The biggest concern for me is still dummy half. Like you said, you got Jazz, but you got guys like Murchie and Serenan who can go into the back line too. If they have to. But yeah, it's still dummy half for me. I know you guys love Jazz, but I don't want to see him out there being stuck as a dummy half. I'm sure he doesn't.
He doesn't want it either. No, he doesn't want it either. Yeah, I agree with you. I think I agree. I think we've got solid depth across the squad. I think we've got probably one of the best squads for depth in the competition. And as you said, there's some guys in there that have got real first grade experience that aren't going to make the game day 17 and are going to be, watching from the stands or plying their trade up at the Redcliffe Dolphins in the Queensland Cup.
Yeah.
As you said, Jazz can play 9. Cody can play 9 as well if we have injuries to Egan and Otakolo. Forward depth is very strong. There's going to be a lot of competition on for positions there, and that's a good thing because that'll bring the best out of these guys.
Strong as I've seen it.
Yeah. Our halves are all NRL standard halves. As we said, we've touched on our outside backs do look a little light on if injury or COVID hits. But as you guys said, we have got Ewan Aitken. We have got Jack Murchie, who started his career as a centre, that can go back there. And we've got Bailey Sirinen as well, as Brad said. I did have a note saying I'd like an experienced centre in amongst that group. We've got that coming for 2023 in Dylan Walker. But as I said, I guess Aitken can fill that spot quite handily if needed. The development, Mark Roberts has just commented about Frey and Tom Ale. Yeah, we're not real sure what's going on. I know Tom Ale's injured at the moment, but on the list on the Warriors website, it's got those two guys listed as the contracted players. So that's what I'm going off.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know whether they have been upgraded. No. If they have, it hasn't officially been announced. But yeah, we're just going by what's on the official Warriors page. So
development and train and trial players. We've got Leighton Finau, Kinner and Lingy Kepu, the Kepu twins. Adam Cook, Jaden Corrigan, Garrett Smith, and Trey Fuller. Speaking of Cook, Corrigan, and Smith, the club did play that one trial game against Melbourne Storm. The Gold Coast Titans trial was obviously cancelled due to the insane conditions in southeast Queensland. A couple of questions for you. What did each of you take away from the trials? Who impressed you? Who disappointed you? Who do you wish got more opportunity? Who is the verdict out on? And having only one trial, does that concern you? And I'll start with you, mate.
There's quite a few guys. Quite a few guys that impressed me. Obviously, AFB when he was on the field was great. Matt Lodge. I was very impressed though with Junior Ratuva. I've been very excited to see him get a run. And a big, strong, strapping Fijian winger is what we've been after. As we said, he's not quite in the mould of a Ravalawa or a Sivo, but he's a different body shape altogether. It's exciting to have someone like that, on a finisher like that with real genuine height and size. He was very good, I thought. Ash Taylor didn't get a lot of minutes, and he looked quite short of a gallop for mine. I would have liked to have seen him get a bit more of an opportunity to really sort of put his hand up and for that 5'8" spot there available. So I guess the verdict is still out on him for me as well. In terms of having only one trial, it's not a major concern. At least there's no injuries. But it would have been nice for SJ to get that run before the season starts. But he's been around long enough to probably, as we said, know what to expect and to not have too many problems with being ready for round one.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Brad? What did you take away from the trial?
Yeah, I think, only getting one trial was a shame. But like you said, no injuries. I personally would have liked to see how the players played with Sean in regards to Taylor, Cody, Chanel, see which person really meshed as a halves partner. We don't get to see that. I'm sure they already know from pre-season and all the stuff they're doing behind the scenes. But as a fan and as a guy who writes about them, I would have liked the inside knowledge there. But what's not on the tally? I was impressed with Katoa, Kepu twins, Walsh and Montoya. They were all guys I liked. Disappointed's a strong word, but I would go with Ash Taylor as well. I just wanted to see more. And I'm not sold on CHT as a fullback. And in terms of the verdict, I'm going with Ash Taylor again. I would have liked to see him next to SJ and see what they could do together. It's really made how I would put my game day 17 together. That's really changed it, not seeing them together. And Murchie's another guy I've got question marks on. I just think there's too many second rows ahead of him at the moment.
I agree. How about you, Rich?
I might dip my toes in Brad's territory to start off. I was impressed with a lot of the forwards. Like him, I really liked the vigor that Ali Katoa is running with. AFB and Lodge, all our big boys like that. Obviously, we know what they bring. Who do I wish got more opportunity? I wish Sean Johnson got a opportunity. That would have been nice, but the weather did what it did. Who was the verdict out on? I guess you could say, based on what we saw, like you guys said, Ash Taylor, but he's pretty experienced, so I'm not too worried there. I would more say the verdict is out on what our halves combo is and who partners Sean and who's really going to take the bull by the horns come season regular and help steer our team around.
Yeah. For me, what did I take away from the trials? We spoke about this last week. And now that the Gold Coast trial got cancelled, probably for me, the absence of a second trial due to the rain means that guys like SJ, Curran and Egan all go into that season opener without some miles in their legs. Curran did play in the All-Stars game. Played a good, 47 minutes in that. CHT at fullback, I guess we expect he fills that role come round one. Confusing for me when you've got a guy like Dallin Watene-Zelezniak who's played one for his country. I'd rather see CHT. We speak about it quite a bit. I think CHT could probably play better as a centre.
Yeah, he's got all the skills.
The guy who impressed me the most was probably Rocco Berry. He's shown he's got great maturity. I mean, this is a guy that's only played like 8 or 9 first-grade games. In that game against Melbourne, he had a good period of play where he took some meters and then offloaded Montoya to score. And then for Montoya's second try, it was just a quick catch pass, ball hands, beautiful timing. Really impressed with how he's coming along. Ratuva in the mix for me now as a wing spot. I was excited to see Aaron Penney. We went up to Redcliffe a couple of weeks ago and saw him up play. He's an enormous specimen of a man.
Cut.
He had his shirt off, so I kept mine on because I didn't want to embarrass him. He's absolutely an incredible human being. And as you guys touched on, Ali Katoa, he looks like he's back to his 2020 form. And running off Sean Johnson excites me. He'll probably build a combo like John had with Nikora at the Sharks. Lodge and AFB up front. Who do I wish got more opportunity? I'm like you, Richie. I wish Sean Johnson had got an opportunity. I also would have liked to have seen Murch get an opportunity as well, just to see what he's bringing to the table this year. Because, as you said, there is a lot of competition for back row spots, and he's well down the pecking order at the moment. And the verdict is definitely out on Ash Taylor for me. I just think he didn't do enough in that game. And in regards to one trial, does it concern me? We saw a lot of teams suffer injuries in this second trial on the weekend. So, going into the round one with, Torhu and Tom Arley as the only 2 injuries we're carrying at the moment is probably not a bad thing. So I can see it as a little bit of a positive. It puts a bit of an unknown spin on the Warriors going into that round one encounter too, no one's really had a good look at them. So, it's going to be interesting to see.
It will be.
The key players for this year, who do you boys think are the key players for what the Warriors making the finals this season? Who's the players that need to step up? Who do you see as the big improvers? And give me that one player that will surprise everyone this season. I'll start with you, Brad.
My 3 key players, kind of easy. You guys might all have the same, but I've got SJ, Fanua, Blake, and Walsh. They're my 3. My players that need to step up. I did a list of 5, so I cut it down to 3. I've got Nikarima, Sirenen, and Chanel. My big improvers, I got Wade Egan and Aaron Penney. And then my surprising player is Junior Ratuva. I pushed him before the trial, saying I expect big things out of him, and I'm sticking with that.
Yeah. What about you, Rich?
So, Sean Johnson, obviously, I mean, a lot of our prospects are making the top 8 are going to rest on how well he comes back and gels with the team. I put Reece Walsh, if he can avoid some second-year syndrome and really find his form, that'll help out our prospects a lot. And I put Tohu Harris when he comes back from injury. I think, the leadership role he'll fill and the mana he has in the team, I think if he's doing what he does, that'll help. He'll help be the glue that holds us together. People to step up, like Brad said, Nicarima. For me, if I'm being honest, I don't have him in my starting 13, but I'd really like to see what he can do in the number 14 role and inject some excitement off the bench. I know he's well capable of that, and if he can accept that and come off the bench and add some impact, I think that'll benefit us.
Yeah. What do you think, mate?
Mate, it's easy for me. It's Sean Johnson is the key player. We all saw it last year. We struggled for composure and guidance and, I guess, experience in the key moments last year in the halves. And Sean Johnson brings all that. It's not like look at 2018 when he was here and we iced all those games that we probably would have lost. Last year, we were kind of exposed in a few situations where we just needed a little bit of composure and experience in the halves. And for that very reason, the guys that I think need to step up are, like the CHT and Cody and those guys who were there last year that didn't quite get the job done when we really needed it.
Yep.
In terms of big improvers, I'm going to go someone that improved massively last year in Josh Curran.
Yep.
But I just feel this year he's going to take his game to an even higher level. He got his opportunity last year, grabbed it with both hands, and I really feel he's going to continue to improve and he could become one of the elite forwards in the game. And like you said before, Junior Ratuva, I think he could be a breakout star this year if given an opportunity on the wing there. All the attributes that he has, and from what he showed in the trial.
For me, Walsh and Johnson are the two guys for me who I've listed as the key players. With all the pressure on them creating scoring opportunities for us this year, that's where our points will come from, their creativity. So I think they're the guys that are the key for us making the semis. I've listed Wade Egan as the player for me who has to step up his game. Defensively, he is solid, but he needs to be more creative around the ruck, not just that safe service from dummy half. I'm like you, mate. Josh Curran for me is the big improver. I know he improved last year. He had an amazing season last year, and his confidence is sky high. I see him improving again this year and knocking on the door for Origin selection.
Yeah, Origin for sure.
And the other one is Eli Katoa, who I said before. He's hampered by injury last season. He looks to be injury-free, and I predict he will have a big season. And I mentioned him before. The player who will surprise everyone this season for me is Rocco Berry. He's the Peta Hiku 2.0 with his ability to set up his winger. It's great to have a centre coming through our ranks that realises that there is a guy that plays outside him on the wing and is not afraid to put that guy in space. He's a big-bodied centre. Defensively, he's rock solid. 10 games into his NRL career, and he's shown so much maturity and improvement. And, for me, he's definitely one to watch. Greatest strengths and the biggest question mark. What do you see as our greatest strength going into 2022? And what do you see as the biggest question mark going into 2022 and the man under the most pressure? Rich, I'll start with you this time.
I think our strength lies with our forward pack. I think we've got a pack that can match any forward pack on our day. I'm hoping with Penney coming in, hopefully he can be that guy that helps fill the void when our starters go off, because that was a bit of an issue last year. For me, question marks remain out in the wider channels, out in the centres. I'm a big fan of Berry, like you. I think he's outstanding prospect, but I'm keen to know what our combination is. Who's the other guy can they do a job against the best of the best? Because if we do quite well there, I think that'll help us big time finding a spot in the 8.
Yeah.
The man under most pressure, I'm not sure. Maybe I think again Nicarima, especially now with Walker coming next season and also Metcalf. I think he's got a lot on his shoulders playing for a contract.
He wants one.
If he wants one, you're right.
That's the issue, Yeah.
He's
What
going
about
to be
you,
a dolphin.
Yeah. Well, he's got enough water to swim in at the moment.
Yeah.
So, look, without a doubt, Brad, the forward pack, it's all about the forwards this year. That's our strength. On paper, arguably one of the best forward packs in the game at the moment. Question mark, I guess, if Wade Egan fails to launch this year, that puts a lot of pressure on young Otokolu as well. So I don't know whether they plan to use them as like a tandem, like with Egan being more a defensive hooker and Otokolu being more attacking based. But yeah, if Egan struggles, then that puts a lot of pressure on a young man who's only played a handful of first-grade games.
Yeah.
I think that's...
What about you, Brad?
No surprise, forward pack, biggest strength. Just have 13 forwards out there and we'll probably do better than everyone. Biggest question mark for me, I'm going away from it. It's more the consistency of the team on the field and team selections. I feel like it was the ebb and flow week to week was what really killed the season last year, and injuries didn't help, but I was questioning a lot of team selections and players that were getting used that probably shouldn't have been because they weren't living up. Like Kane Evans, for example. Everyone could see Kane Evans wasn't cutting it, but he kept getting picked every week. So I want to see a harder edge when it comes to if a player is not making the cut, bring someone else in. But don't chop and change every week, But if you can clearly see something's not working, fix it.
Yep.
And then my man under the most pressure, I'll keep going with the team selections. I think it's Nathan Brown. I think a lot of people, they're all said, we've done the whole preseason in Australia. We've got everything focused. They're taking all the excuses off the table. He's got a great roster now. If he starts making those same mistakes with selections, there's going to be a lot of people talking. That's what I picked.
Mate, I kind of went a bit similar too. I thought outside the square. I put our greatest strength down to our depth in our squad in key positions. In the past, the team has virtually picked itself from week to week, especially when Mooks was coaching. There was the same guys taking the field every week. And that wasn't because of solid performance. It was just more due to a lack of depth that we had in various positions. So this season, there's going to be guys who miss selection who would be walk-up starters at other clubs. And that's a good thing, competition in positions. I put a biggest question mark down as along the lines of consistency, Brad. I put our ability to close out our leads, or stay in the fight. Last year, we lost 3 games by a single point. We blew 5 leads that resulted in losses, and we had a few other losses by 2, 4, or 6 points. And that's where we need to improve, staying in the fight, because we're only saying we met on the 8 by 4 points last year, and we lost 8 games in close circumstances. And we win a couple of those, and all of a sudden, it's not a failed season of not making the 8. We're actually playing semi-final football. So that's going to be the thing for me. A big question mark. Closing out games and not blowing leads. And I agree with you, mate. The man under the most pressure, Nathan Brown. He's built his squad. He now has to prove that he can coach and mould and direct these players into that team, that unit to bring the club success. Success, not miracles. I'm not saying we need to win the comp this year, but anything less than top 8 is a failed season, and that's where we need to be, and that's what they need to be focusing on. I'm just noticing a couple of comments coming up. Do you guys reckon we should start Lodge off the bench and Penney starting with AFB, saving that slippery slope we had in the games last year? It's not a bad option, although I love the AFB Lodge starting pairing. And the thing is,
punch. Yeah.
AFB will play big minutes. Lodge may play the first 25 and then go off, and AFB will play that full 40 minutes. And that's where, like, Penney can come on at that 25th minute mark. Mark Roberts also asked, left field idea, could Egan slip back to the 13? So Otakolo could come in and make the impact, but we don't lose the tackling abilities of Egan.
A defensive 13, like a tackle.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think the quickness of the game now, with the 6 again rule and so forth, I think you need to have a dynamic 13, and someone that's going to push the envelope a little bit. And I think with Josh Curran playing our 13, I think that's probably the best,
slightly better option.
Thing for us. Let's go through the draw. I've broken the draw down in sections. So first one we'll talk about is rounds 1 to 5. So we've got the Dragons at home at the Sunshine Coast, Titans away, Tigers away, Broncos home, Cowboys home. For me, I think we have one of the easiest opening round draws of all the comp. These games are all winnable. Apart from the Titans, they're all teams that pretty much finish below us or around us on the ladder. Look, if we aren't on 6 competition points after 5 rounds, I'll be very disappointed. 10 competition points would be well on our way to the finals. What do you think, mate?
Mate, by rights, looking at the team that we have, we should win all 5. But we're the Warriors, so
we could lose all 5.
We know that we could very easily be on 10 competition points or no competition points, and there's no easy wins in the NRL. But I'm with you. Like, we should be on 3 to 4 wins.
Yeah,
should be. If not, the man under pressure is a man under even more pressure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Brad?
Yeah, same. It's a favourable start to the season. I think 3 wins out of 5 is an easy goal, because you look at that. We've got 3 of the worst teams in the competition, and the Dragons, the Tigers, and the Cowboys. Titans and Broncos do make me nervous. Broncos are a better side than what we've seen the last few years. So they do make me nervous, but they should be aiming for 5 from 5. I think that's very achievable.
I agree. What about you, Richie?
Yeah, much like you guys, we need to make a statement in these first 5 games. If we lose a few of them, the damage isn't irreparable, but we want to make a statement. We want to show these teams in the first 5 weeks that we're not in their tier of team, where we're the tier above them. And if we walk away winning only 2 games, it's not going to be looking good. But, if we win 4 or 5, then we're looking like a top 8 team.
Absolutely. I like Ciala's comment there. Ciala's comment, we should win all 5 games. But we are the Warriors. Roo. 2022. Funny shit. That's a quote of the season so far.
Oh, please. No more Nostradamus stuff this year, okay? I'm retiring from that role.
No, that's you.
Take it off my Nostradamus hat.
That's you, mate. The next 5 rounds, I've listed them as the big test for us. We've got the Roosters away, the Storm away in that Anzac Day clash. We play the Raiders at home, the Sharks away, and then the Rabbits at Magic Round. 5 games that will determine the outcome of our season for me. I think, look, we need to win 2. We've got to be realistic. We need to win 2 of these games if we're any chance of playing finals footy. All these teams are teams that finished ahead of us last season. They're all genuine top 4 and top 8 contenders. So I think it's interesting to say that our biggest test comes in the first part of the season, but it's a group 5 games that are going to be really, really telling on how our season goes. How do you see those 5 games, Brad?
Yeah, it's a scary run. I've been very vocal of my hatred of that Anzac game against the Storm. I just don't like it. I like the reasoning for it and the occasion, but I haven't liked the result in years. The 2 wins that you said they really need, I think they should be targeting the Raiders and Sharks. I think those are the 2 scalps they can get. But if the Warriors want to be legitimate contenders, they need to be able to win over those top 4 sides, or at least take them to the limit, show some heart.
Yes.
And I think if you lose, but you look good in a loss, look like you really could have been in there, I think that will change my opinion on how they go.
Yeah. Yeah. Richie, what are your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, that's a tough test, that little period there. Like Brad, I just want to see us show something. I think if we turn up the best version of the Warriors, I think the result will take care of itself and we will win a couple of those. But we need to be showing our best version of ourselves. So for me, that period, it's on us. If we walk in, hopefully on the back of some good form and thrashing all those first five, we can come in with some confidence and pip a couple of these teams.
Absolutely. What do you think, mate?
Mate, with a what we would consider a reasonably soft start, and assuming that we do get a few good wins behind us, what a statement to make if we can come out and beat the Roosters and the Storm in consecutive weeks. That would be massive. Looking at that, we don't want to start stringing losses together as well, and that is a tough run in anyone's language. But like you guys have said, I think the last three there are probably the more winnable of those games.
Yep.
The Rabbitohs and Magic Round and neutral venue, the loss of Adam Reynolds and that kind of thing might affect them. So, yeah, like Raiders, Sharks, and Rabbits are probably the most winnable games, in my opinion, there.
I agree. Yeah. Then we go into rounds 11 to 16, which take us through to that bye round. We get the Dragons, the Knights, Manly away, but during Origin. The Sharks, Panthers at home, but again during Origin period, so they'll be without their Origin stars. And the Tigers at home, which will be the first game back at Mount Smart Stadium. So go back to their spiritual home at Mount Smart. The key in this period for me is playing both Manly and Penrith without their Origin stars. That puts the advantage back in our favour. It will show what we're made of and how confident we are playing. 4 of these 5 games should be our realistic target, I would say. Richie, what do you think?
I think the 2 hardest games in this block are the ones where it'll be against the teams with a lot of Origin stars, and they'll be affected by Origin selections, which is a positive. I think all the other games in around those games are very winnable. So again, I think this is another period where we can make a statement. If we can string together at least 3, but 4 or 5 would be nice. If we can string a good winning period through here, it's going to really set us up.
Absolutely. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, mate. Look. Tradition. Probably go back about 8 to 10 years, and that was our strength during the Origin period. Is when we could sort of cash in against some of these teams that are under strength. And yeah, we've really got to do it here. And it'd be great to get like maybe a couple of bonus wins against Manly and Penrith backing up from Origin. They'll obviously be heavily represented. But I think this is there's quite a few winnable games in this period. So I think we should be looking at about at least 4 wins out of that.
Yeah, I think so too. What about you, Brad? Considering the last game in that block going through to the bye is the return to Mount Smart Stadium, which will be a huge occasion for not only for the team, but for the fans back in New Zealand, having not seen the boys play for so long. What do you make of that block of games there, those 6 games?
Yeah, I think it'll be massive, that first game back at Mount Smart. By that point, I think the Tigers will just be defaulting most games anyway, so doesn't really matter. But
which of their 5 captains do you think will captain that game?
I don't even bloody know who's captain anymore. Aren't they all captain?
It's more captains, damn it.
But I think, facing Manly and Penrith in the Origin period's a welcome relief as long as the Warriors go into those matches with the right mindset. I think they've been unstuck so many times. That Penrith game where they had Maloney and Cleary both out, and then Jerome Luai ripped them to pieces. I walked into that thinking it was already over. Yeah. The rest of those games, though, like you said, Rod, they're winnable. And I think if they do the right thing, get the right wins on the board, they'll come home to Mount Smart in a good ladder position. And then that first game at home will be just a breath of fresh air for the club, which should hopefully spur them to the next gear.
Yeah.
I think it's I like the fact that the first home game back there is going to be against the Tigers. The game against the Panthers would have been massive, but they're the reigning premiers. a lot of there's going to be a lot of pressure on the team, but there's also going to be a lot of emotion around that game.
Yeah.
So playing a team with 5 captains that default most of their results by that time of the season will probably be a good thing for everyone.
That's right.
Yeah. There was a comment there. I just have to find this comment by. Oh, it's on YouTube. It was up here. Where is it? How do I just? Yeah. Haka Time Rugby said the worst away round in the NRL is Warriors versus Storm at Amy. It's demoralising. You obviously haven't been to a Warriors Panthers game at Penrith Stadium that I've been to, where we just get smashed every time. It's
bad watching it on TV, but like being there.
The last part of the season, from the bye through to like round 17 is the bye. So round 18 to round 25, the run to the semis. So we've got the Eels away, we've got the Raiders away, we've got the Storm at Mount Smart, the Rabbits away, the Bulldogs at Mount Smart, the Cowboys away, the Panthers away, which is going to be the last game at PointsBet Bluebet Stadium.
Yep.
Before they rip that up, thank God. And then the Titans at home at Mount Smart. It's the business end of the season. Some big games against some big teams. There's 8 games there. I would look at 4 to 5 games heading into the semi-final series. We'd want to be looking at to win there. The home games at Mount Smart are must-wins, I think, for team morale, for the home fans and for team confidence. What do you think?
Mate, you don't want, if you're going to be a semi-final team, you don't want a really soft run into the finals and then come in underdone. And that has happened to us in the past. So looking at that, I mean, it's really mixed. But we sort of like got the Storm, Rabbits, Bulldogs, Cowboys, Panthers. So it's kind of like interchanging a little bit there. So I think it's a fairly good run home. Most of those games will test us. So no easy games, but I definitely think we'd be looking to win 4 or 5 of those.
Yeah. What about you, Brad?
Yeah, a lot of tough matchups there. I think Panthers, Rabbits, and Storm will be real difficult, especially at that time of year. Those guys are really getting into the groove of finals footy already. The rest of them are winnable, but those games back in Auckland are going to be massive boosts, not only for the team and the club, but for all of us in Auckland and New Zealand, I guess, that have missed it for so long. So to get back-to-back, like a couple of games rather than just looking at like one game for the year, I think will be great. As long, hopefully, there's some good performances to go with it.
Yeah. What about you, Richie? What do you think, mate?
I think the Eels, Raiders, Storm, Rabbits. That's a tough month there. Bulldogs, who knows what they'll be like this year? They're a bit of a mystery team with all their recruitment. Yeah. What I really want to see is some revenge on the Titans for the last game of last year. Yes. What was it, 44-0 or something like that?
Yep. Yeah, mate, I was there.
I want to see some revenge for that. At Mount Smart, I'd love to see us get a big win there. But, what I don't want to see is dropping 2 or 3 of these games in a row, or going win-loss. If we could get a nice winning run together, that'd be good. That'd put some confidence in the team heading into the finals, which I'm hoping we make.
Yeah, aren't we all? Just an interesting comment from the live feed. Do you think Walsh will play Origin this year? Brad?
I'm going to say no, but I wouldn't be surprised.
What do you reckon?
I think he'll be in the mix. If Ponga's fit and firing, then he'll be fullback for Queensland. They may look at him as an interchange role. If there's an injury, he'll probably come into the mix. Yeah, I'd say he'd be there or thereabouts.
Richie, you reckon he'll get a run?
No, like Rob, I think he'll be there or thereabouts, but it might be injury dependent. Like last season, when he was selected, Queensland were carrying a few injuries, so he's in the mix. And if the same thing happens again, then it's a possibility. But I think if everyone's fit and firing, it might not be this year. I'm sure it'll happen in the future.
I agree with you. I think he'll be in that mix, like he'll be in the conversation, but I don't think he'll make the 17 or 18.
Not straight away.
No. What about Ronaldo Mulatalo? Do you think he'll play Origin?
I feel for him.
Maybe not.
Oh, okay.
You might get a Kiwi jersey.
Okay, boys. I'm going to put you to the test now. So, give me your best Warriors 17 to start with. We'll do that to start off with, and then we'll do our predicted round one team. So, Brad, what do you list as your best Warriors team, barring injuries, 1 to 17?
Okay, I wrote it down on my little notebook here. The trial changed things up. The trial changed my team. I already had a team that I showed Richie a few weeks ago, and it's completely different now. I got Reece Walsh as my fullback. Dallin and Montoya as my wings.
Yep.
I got Jesse Arthurs and Rocco Berry as my centres.
Yep.
My halves are Cody and Sean. I didn't have Cody in there originally, but he was the best out of what we had in the trial. So I've gone with him. Front rows, Fanua, Blake, Egan, and Lodge. Second row is Curran and Aitken, and my lock is Tohu. Then my bench, I got Jazz at 14, Penney, Afoa, and Katoa. And I'm sorry, Ben. I just didn't have room for you.
You know he watches this, don't you?
I'm sorry. I still love you.
Richie, what's your team, mate? Your best 17?
Oh, I'm surprised Brad didn't start in the forward, so I will. AFB, Egan and Lodge is my front row.
Yep.
I'm going Katoa, Curran, and Harris as my back row.
Yep.
I've gone with Walsh, DWZ, and Montoya as a back three.
Yep.
Berry and Aitken in the centres, Harris, Tavita, and Johnson in the halves. So I've put Aitken actually up in the centres, even though he's a second row. That's what I would. I think he just puts a bit of experience in the centres where we're lacking a bit.
Yep. And what about your bench?
The bench, I've gone Jazz, Aaron Penney, Bunty, and Brad's boyfriend, who he didn't name on the team. I did, Brad. I did that for you, actually. So Jazz, Penney, Bunty, and Ben Murdoch-Masila.
What about you, mate?
My best team. Okay, this is a bit different. I got Walsh, DWZ, and Ratuva on the wings.
Yep.
And centres, Montoya and Berry. I've still got the faith that Ash Taylor's going to come good, so I've got him in the halves with Sean Johnson, Lodge, Ian, AFB, Tohu, Katoa, Josh Curran. And the bench, I've got Cody, Ben Murdoch-Masila, Penney, and Big Bunty.
My best 17 is exactly the same as Richie's. Exactly the same. Walsh, Watelli Zalesniak, Montoya on the other wing. Barrett and Aitken. I picked Aitken as a centre. I think that's where he's best suited in our squad, considering what we've got as back rowers.
Yeah.
I've got Chanel, Harris, Tavita, Sean Johnson in the halves. Fanua, Blake, Lodge, and Egan up front. Katoa and Tohu on the edges. Josh Curran lock in the scrum. And then Jazz, Aaron Penney, Brad's man crush, and Bunty Afoa as my bench. So with that in mind and knowing that we have Lodge and Tohu, Reece Walsh for round one, what's your round one team, Brad?
Okay, so fullback, I've got Dallin. What I said on our show earlier and what you guys said earlier as well, he's played fullback for the Kiwis, so it seems obvious to everyone but Nathan Brown. But then my wings, I've got Pompey and Montoya on the wings. Centres are still Berry and Arthurs, still Cody and Johnson in the halves. Fanua, Blake, Egan and Penney starting in the front row. Curran and Aitken in my second, Jazz at lock. Then I've got Otakolo, Afoa, BMM, Big Ben Murdoch-Masila, and Katoa on my bench. So Ben's back.
Rich?
DWZ at fullback.
Rich?
I'm the same as Brad. DWZ at fullback. Pompey and Montoya on the wings. I retain Berry and Aitken in the centres. Harris, Tavita, and Johnson. AFB, Egan, and who am I putting in there? Penney. We're going Katoa, Curran, and Jazz, which means I have to put Cody Nicarima on the bench. Bunty, Ben Murdoch, Masilla. Is that all, or am I missing one? I think that's it.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's it. What do you got?
I've gone exactly the same as okay. I think it'll be I think Dallin at fullback, Montoya and Ratuva on the wings. I've gone exactly the same as you. I think Harris DeVita would be a fantastic centre. He's got all the skills and attributes along with Berry. Nicarima, Johnson, AFB, Egan, Afoa, Katoa, Aitken, Curran, and Jazz, Penney, BMM, and Sirinen.
Yeah. So there, I've done the exact same team. I don't think that's the team will get named. That's the team that I would name.
Yeah.
But I think if we're naming the team that Nathan Brown's going to name, CHT is going to be playing. Dallin's going to be on a wing.
I think Jesse Arthurs will be in there as well.
Jesse Arthurs might get a run. It's great to have so much. Okay, I'm going to ask you to provide a couple of predictions. I know you got some predictions on your show earlier tonight. To start with, give me your top 8 prediction, your Dally M medal winner prediction, who your premiers will be, and who your Simon Mannering medalist will be for the Warriors this year. And I'll start with you, Rich. What do you got?
So top 8, just bringing up the top 8 I wrote down for our show. Panthers, Roosters, Storm, Sea Eagles, Rabbitohs, Sharks, Eels, Warriors.
Yep.
What was next?
Dally M medal winner.
Nathan Cleary. I think he gets it done this year.
Yep.
What was next after that? Premiers? It's going to pay me to say either of them. I said it was going to be a Panthers-Roosters grand final. I'm going to say Roosters because I really don't want to see the Panthers go back-to-back.
And who's your Simon Mannering medalist?
Well, that's a tough one. My heart says Johnson for a fairy tale comeback.
Ooh, nice.
Interesting.
So I'll stick with my heart. There you go.
Okay. What about you, Brad?
Well, it's good to see Richie got every single question wrong. But my top 8, I've got Manly. Manly number 1, Panthers number 2, Rabbitohs number 3, Storm 4, Roosters 5, Eels 6, Warriors 7, and Sharks 8. Premiers are Manly. Dally M is Tommy Turbo. Warriors Player of the Year is Curran.
Yep. What do you got, mate?
Yeah, top 8. So I've got Penrith, Melbourne, Roosters. What do I put? I think I had the Rabbitohs in there as 4th. Eels, Sharks, Warriors. Am I missing one there?
Did you say Panthers?
You're missing Manly.
I think Panthers are my premiers prediction. I think they will go back to back. They're such a strong side. Dally M medal winner. I'm going to go Tommy Turbo.
Yep.
Again, if he picks up where he left off, he's going to be unstoppable.
Yep.
Simon Mannering medalist Josh Curran.
Okay, mine are my top 8 is Roosters, Panthers, Sea Eagles, Storm, Eels, Sharks, Warriors, and Broncos. I don't think Souths make it. I think the Adam Reynolds loss is going to be way too big for him to fill.
Yep.
My Dally M medal winner prediction, I've said Nathan Cleary. My premiers, I think the Roosters. I think how they played last season under all those injuries and play for long periods of time, they get their best squad on the field for a good chunk of the season. They're going to be hard to beat. My Simon, I too said Josh Curran. So because we've all said Josh Curran, I'm going to change it. And I'm sorry, Dave and Nat, if you're watching. And I'm going to say Adam Fanua Blake. I think
Nice.
I think it'll be either Adam or Josh. I think it's going to be those two. Yeah, that about wraps it up, mate, for the preview. There's a couple of questions coming through. Christian's asked, who do you guys think will be our rookie of the year? That's a tough one.
Okay, so one of the qualification is...
Yeah. Is there a minimum number of games they can have played before they play this year?
Well, Otakolo played maybe 3 games last year, so I think if he has a strong year, he's a strong candidate.
Junior Ratuva, if he gets some game time.
Yep. Even Billy Vallejo probably only played a handful of games last year if he gets a run in the centres.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's 5 or less games, isn't it?
Is that what it is? Is it 5?
Yeah.
I think it's 5 from the previous year. You still count as a rookie.
Oh, okay.
Don't quote me on it.
Okay. Yeah. There's a few guys then that might fit into that category. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. BJ Seymour says, what's your guys' thoughts on Pompey? Thought he was pretty solid when he was given an opportunity to play throughout the 2021 season.
I thought his 2020 form much better.
Yeah.
And when he was on the wing, I liked it. He was a good finisher on the wing. He's a big body, good kick returns kind of thing. I feel like he didn't quite have the skill set required for the centres. He's a little bit one-dimensional for me when he was in the centres.
You guys got any thoughts on Pompey?
Yeah, I like him as a winger rather than a centre. As a winger, I like him. He's got a good body shape for it. It's nice and tall. You know, he makes him effective under the high ball. But, yeah, his skill set might be not quite as suited to centre. It's not like a Berry where you can see him putting a winger over in the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same. He's a winger. But, it's a big gripe I have. I mentioned it earlier, sorry. Centres in the NRL don't know how to pass. There's only a handful that do. Thankfully, we had one last year in Hiku, and we've got one in Berry now. But there's maybe 4 or 5 centres in the NRL that are actually good at distributing to their winger. The rest are just run and gun.
Yeah, absolutely. Haka Time Rugby's asked, first coach to get chopped. Who's the first coach to be sacked this year?
Woogie.
Woogie Maguire. Woogie Maguire and his 5 captains.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's him, to be honest.
Just not Brownie, please. We don't need another Coke.
No, we don't. We definitely don't.
Let's go Maguire.
He's got PowerPoint fired up, ready to go.
Yeah, it will be Maguire. He's the one that just screams guy that's got the potential to be gone before the season's done.
Question: Todd Payton and Trent Barrett. How much time do you give those two guys, considering they were new coaches at new clubs last year, and both clubs have struggled, and you know the Bulldogs have bought really well, but I think people are expecting that the Bulldogs are going to be a lot better than what they actually are going to be, because it takes time. You know, when you kind of put a whole roster together to build the combinations,
cohesion,
and you saw that the other night in the trial. But how much time do you give a guy like Barrett and Toddy Payton at their respective clubs before you start looking and tapping them on the shoulder, and it might be time to move on? Do you give them this season, regardless of how they go?
Yeah, I think in the case of Toddy Payton, I think you have to give him this year. Trent Barrett as well, but with their recruitment, it's, you know, you'd hope that they'd improve. For the Bulldogs, there's only one way, really, and that's up. So, I mean, if you don't see improvements, then the pressure will be mounting on him. But, you know, I guess it's just wait and see what the results are looking like.
Yeah, good point. Jay Harris says same amount of time as Kevy at the Broncos, at least 3 years.
Yeah, I think that's a good time. I think Payton was in trouble as soon as he started making a Warriors team in North Queensland. But yeah, I think 3 years. It gives them time to settle. build their team and then get that team they've built to work together. So,
yeah, I agree. Mate, that about wraps it up. We'll just a little bit of housekeeping before we go. We've got some live shows coming up, mate.
Yep, that's right. What the March, the big man Cam George, Warriors CEO, coming for a chat. He'll overtake you again, Brad. As the most prolific.
Not if we bring Brad in.
Oh, we'll bring Brad in as well.
What
yes.
if we bring Brad on next week as well to talk to Cameron?
The week after that, 16th of March, we've got our round 1 review, hopefully talking about a big win over the Dragons. And of course, we'll continue to make those connections with our former players that we've been doing and bring you more of those interviews that you enjoy.
That's right. We also got a couple of fan meetups booked in, which you can find on Linktree. Round 1, we've got a big fan meetup at a place called Your Mate's Brewhouse, starting at 2 p.m. Warrior legend, Warrior 121, Steve Price is going to be our special guest at that one, and we've got him some game tickets, so he's going to come and sit on the hill at Soho Stadium and have a chat to the fair. And round 10, Magic Round. You boys have to come for Magic Round.
You got to come over. You got to come over. No excuses.
Yeah.
got the money, man.
Yeah, that's about the only excuse.
That's good. That's because you're buying Richie beanies now.
We'll have to get the Roo Hammer private jet, fly them over.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Magic Round. Magic Round. We got the meetup at the Lord Alfred Hotel. It's such a success last year, hosted by Warrior Nation. We got Mark 226, Mark Tukey, Warrior 86 champion, and Warrior 127, Grant Revere, along to have
a few more as well.
Yeah,
we'll wait and see.
And just a reminder that we're on Patreon subscription support platform that enables you guys to who follow us to show your support of us and the content we provide by signing up for a monthly subscription. Support multiple tier levels to suit all budgets. And I know we said this week we might have some merch to show, but there has been a delay, hasn't there?
There's been a slight delay on the merch with the back ordering with these hats here. So we wanted to make sure that it was perfect for you guys. Get the hats that you want to wear, the hats that Roo and Hammer wear, don't That's you? Right. So you want the same gear,
absolutely.
You know, match worn kind of stuff, you know. But you can head to our Patreon page, show your support, and subscribe for a bronze tier. Set as the lowest possible amount. That's just $3 a month, next to nothing. And as we said, we've partnered with Torius, who are going to be making our gear. Hopefully, have some shirts to show you guys sooner rather than later. And we're hoping they'll be ready for round 1. We can give you guys a bit of a look at the merchandise that will be available for a limited pre-sale.
Absolutely, yeah. We just want to thank our bronze tier patrons, Daniel Delore, Peregrine Falconer, Sean Kurzweil, Fabian Moroa, Steve Williams, Christian Catley, Alf Tuolave, TK Harris, Ted Clark, Inamete, Lisa Marie Bateman, Ken Wills, Nigel Phillips, Kane Fraser, Jermaine Downs, and Malcolm Earnshaw. We thank you all very much.
Thank you so much for your support.
And appreciate your support.
Don't forget, if you do miss our shows, any of our interviews, you can catch up on Facebook. You can go there in the video section. And don't forget to hit up our YouTube channel as well, and you catch up there. The easiest way is to go to Linktree, the Linktree link there, and you can catch up with all our interviews, special presentations. And when you are on YouTube, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and you'll never miss any of our streamed content.
That's right. And if you're a podcast fan, you like to hear our sultry voices and those very sultry voices of Brad and Richie that joined us tonight. Don't forget, all our episodes are on Spotify, Apple, Google, Breaker, Radio Direct, and iHeartRadio. Please head to our Roo and Hammer Instagram page where we upload content daily. Keep all our followers informed of our upcoming events. Just before we do go to, I've got a note. Where'd you get your jersey from, Brad?
This one. Yeah. Got it from Wendy's. Wendy's gave it to me. The burger place.
The burger place.
Yeah, I was going to say, was it for buying a certain amount of burgers, or was it a competition? Like, what was it?
No, it was a competition. They did a competition on Instagram. That whole like and share type thing, and you win a Warriors jersey. And then you just have to get a mortgage to get it framed.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah,
And and you've got your own homemade calendars there. You're not going to sell them, mate, on Inga's league wrap or on the standoff?
no, it's a nice custom made one, but I don't own any rights to images. So when Kevin
we've given you the rights to ours.
You can have you have the permission to use our likenesses on there.
I can use one
That's us
picture.
there.
I can use one picture. Yeah. But yeah, once they're back in New Zealand, I can start taking photos again as well. So maybe I can do something like that next time.
Good point.
And a nice tablecloth you've got hanging on your wall in the background there. Yeah.
Don't upset his tablecloth. Mate. Don't upset him about his tablecloth.
Best jersey we ever had. Amazing.
Oh, we'll let you have that one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it. That's it for our fifth show of the year. Fifth show already. And well, we want to thank you guys, our special guests, Brad and Richie, for coming on for the preview for the season ahead. Make sure you do subscribe to NZ Sport Radio on Facebook and catch the boys every Wednesday during the season. Yes, thanks, boys, so much for coming on again. And thank you to all of you guys who are watching through Facebook and YouTube and continue to support us at Roo and Hammer. It's very much appreciated.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, thanks, boys. We love having you on. We always say you're our brothers from another mother. And yeah, we encourage everyone, subscribe to their pages on Facebook and YouTube. These guys go live, I think at 6 o'clock Sydney time, which will be 5 o'clock Queensland time, which is 7 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
8 p.m.
Yeah, 8 p.m. New Zealand time. Look for New Zealand Sport Radio on Facebook.
Yep.
And it streams through there. The Standoff. Make sure you follow them. It's the best Wednesday night is an hour of the Standoff followed by an hour of Roo and Hammer. What better way to spend your Wednesday night?
Well,
thanks, boys. Stay safe, and we'll catch up soon. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week for what'll be our Cam George interview and our round one preview.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Stay safe, everyone.
You too.
And cheers, Warriors.
Go the Warriors.
Cheers, guys.